Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by author Bria Rose, who writes dark romance fairy tale retellings. So we're going to be talking to her about her stories and everything that she's up to and going to be up to. So Bria, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am, as you put, not as you put it, but I am a dark romance author. I am trying to get into the niche of writing specifically fairy tale retelling. So that's kind of like the bulk of what I am currently doing. But when I'm not writing, you can definitely find me reading, big surprise, watching anime, or hanging out with friends.
All right. Well, let the listeners know how you got into writing.
Oh wow, that is, I don't want to age myself. I feel like I'm getting to an age where it's like, whoa. But I started writing back in high school with a dear friend, and I kind of left it alone. We both decided like, hey, we have other things, going on. And then about 10 years later, I decided to pick it back up and I'm like, hey, I think now's the time. And I ended up writing the first rough, like super rough draft. Gave it to her and she's like, you know what? I don't have the time to do this right now. And by that point, I had officially been bitten by the writing bug. That's definitely the best way I can explain it. And so even though she wasn't ready, I was. So I decided to go off on my own until she was ready. Um, and that's how my debut book came to be.
All right. Well, tell the listeners about your book. Tell us about what where we can get it and what we can expect when we read it.
Awesome. Well, I, okay, listen, I'm a little biased. I am the one who wrote it, but I do love my book. It is called Her Dark Promise by Bria Rose. And it is a dark romance. Why choose Beauty and the Beast return twist, where Belle's the Beast, Beast and Gaston are brothers get trapped in her castle. So that's kind of like my quick little pitch that I give to people, like when I'm in book signings and things like that, to kind of draw everybody in. But once I have them, I kind of further explain that I have taken out the magical objects like the teacup, things like that, and added two new characters. This definitely is a different, like this is definitely a reimagining. You're gonna see familiar maybe names and locations, but the entire story is very new, definitely reimagined. You can definitely, I am new to this whole publishing world. And so I am a, indie self-published author. And so a lot of my knowledge comes from YouTube videos and kind of like looking up what everyone else is doing and not copying them, but, just kind of been the same realm of like, what do covers look like, things like that. So, um, I I love this story. It is definitely reimagined. Oh, that's right. You can find it on Barnes& Noble, Amazon for sure, and just recently I found out that it is on Walmart.com. So that was really exciting.
Okay, well, you also work at Disney, so tell us about, or as much as you can, tell us about working at Disney and how that affects your writing.
Oh my, what a crazy time that was. I feel like I blinked one day and I had worked there and then, left the company. I was there for about 7-ish years. I started back when I was 19. Oh man, that's crazy. It's mid 20s. It was amazing. I mean, Disney, a lot of people can say whatever they want about the company, but what I will say is it is unlike any other job I've ever had. It's very hard to leave because you just become so attached. I mean, I feel like there's no other job that you can walk in at 4 a.m. to the lights all still on, the music still on, so you still have that magic. But nobody's in the park. All the streets are being hosed down, everything's being cleaned, and um, it really was magical for me. I loved it. I really feel like it affected my writing in the sense that when you are working, no matter what department you're in, you're always weaving in stories. If you have face-to-face interaction with guests, uh, aka customers, um, there might be a question like, "Hey, where's Mickey?" I'm like, "Oh, Mickey's probably in Toontown hanging out with Minnie Mouse." You're always creating this magic and these stories for not just children but adults. I mean, everyone who goes there wants to be immersed in the culture and brilliance that is Disney. I worked in food and beverage for the majority of my time there, and then the last couple of years I was in PhotoPath. And being able to be in photo, I mean, food was great, believe me, but PhotoPath is really, I feel like I got to shine. As a storyteller, I love talking to people. I mean, I have my master's in communication studies. So, I'm definitely, as one might say, a professional yapper. Um, but I would say PhotoPass gave me the ability to be able to work with the characters and, interact with the public, the guests, just like one-on-one in a more creative space. I just feel like I am a very creative person. From doing finding my love of also photography through working at Disney. It just I love it. I miss it. I wish I could go there as much as I did, when I worked there, but hopefully one day I'll go back as a guest again. I think I went a couple of years ago, but it was beautiful. I miss it, and the Disney family is real. But yeah.
Well, talk about why you enjoy writing dark romance.
Ooh. Okay. So I think it's so funny. My mom, sometimes she gets asked me like, "Hey, why do you want to write naughty books?" And I just always kind of shrug and say, I don't know. I think I'm kind of good at it. And that I love, I mean, growing up on Disney, being a certified Disney adult, uh, of course, the princesses were definitely my genre. Um, my chosen, I mean, I love like Lilo and Stitch and the classics Tarzan, but give me, Beauty and the Beast is kind of, not kind of, it is, I've kind of made it into my personality, which is hence I wrote this book. But I just feel like there's so much depth to characters in dark romance books. Dark romance to me just means we're kind of giving all these characters real life, like trauma and experiences. Whereas I feel like other genres, where the female falls in love with the hero or the guy whoever the person, the main character falls in love with the hero. Um, I feel like those can be rather predictable. Those, unless there's a twist to it where the hero's actually villain, and then we're back into dark romance, morally gray type of behavior or type of territory. Uh, there's just so much depth and there's so much. I feel like everybody not has a trauma, but everybody has gone through something in their life, whether it's a heartbreak, whether it's, different types of abuse, or no matter what you go through, you have a friend that decided to bully, or people decided to bully. There's no matter how big or how small it may seem to somebody else, everyone has gone through something. And so I just feel like dark romance is something that a lot of people can relate to, and they can really, I hate to use the word vibe with, but but yeah, no, relate to probably would be the best word for it. But so that's why I write dark romance. I write dark romance because it's an outlet. It's a way for me to kind of get my creativity out, but it's also a way for me to feel like I'm connecting with readers. And it's, I guess you could say, my truth. It I enjoy, writing these very complex characters who, you know, for example, Calathea in my book. Uh, she's sassy and sexy and intelligent and vengeful. There's so many different emotions going through her all at one time. That's why the book is so long, because I really didn't, I wanted her to feel what she was feeling in the moment. So, a little bit about her. She was cursed at 18 years old, and she's been cursed for about 370 years. She was isolated from everybody, maybe people here and there, but overall she's been by herself. So she's a little crazy because someone does talk in her head. So she was betrayed by somebody very close to her. So she's going through feelings that she has not dealt with, of rage, remorse, guilt, literally everything, denial. She's going through it all. And I really feel like I gave Calathea the best opportunity to really be in the moment and allow others to help her through her journey back to self-love. So I believe that's kind of like why I write dark romance. I just feel like everyone can connect to it.
Would you ever consider writing anything other than fairy tale retellings?
Yes, I used to say, "Oh, I'm a Disney retellings author." I don't say that anymore. I'm definitely learning where my spot is in the author dash writer realm. Uh, there, that's why I say now fairy tales or retellings in general. I now can actually more say fanfic dash retellings author, because there is a book that I want to write that is based off of two characters from a very popular television series and book series called Vampire Diaries. So I would like to write those two characters, Klaus and Caroline. I believe that they were in the game and they weren't in the original, TV adaptation. And so I want to write that. Do I think that is an adaptation that's retelling? Yes. Reimagining? Yes. So I am in the process of that. Currently, I have this Beauty and the Beast retelling that, of course, is already in print. It's actually everywhere. Today just went live for pre-order for my audiobook. So it's available in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. Well, whew, that was a lot of craziness recently, but I'm really happy. And then I'm currently working on like a spicy Pinocchio retelling. Uh, and there's going to be more fairy tales, specifically, Brothers Grimm, Disney. But I was approached by a company to write a different type of fairy tale retelling. They came to me with an idea. I can't really talk about it yet, but they did come to me with an idea, and it has been a lot of fun to play with. So I do plan on writing kind of, what is the right word to use? Uh, I really want to kind of toe the line of what constitute maybe as a fairy tale retelling or retellings author in general. But to answer your question, yes, I do plan on doing other things besides fairy tales.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
Well, tell us about the authors that inspire you to do what you do. And since you like reading, also tell us about your favorite book.
Okay, so my great question because I love talking about her, and I hope one day her and I can be best friends because I truly love the universe that she has created. Her name is Rena Kent. She has out so many books, but my two favorite series of hers is the Royal Elite series, which is my second favorite, and then the Legacy of Gods series. That is the first book that I read of hers, and I was hooked from like page one. She writes not fairy tales, not just fairy tales, but not like fantasy. There we go. That's what I was looking for. She doesn't really write fantasy books as what I have seen. I don't know. Things to be changed. I'm only on those two series. I have not read the rest yet because writing does take a lot out of you, but she definitely I'm inspired because she writes a lot of psychopaths or people with antisocial personality disorder. And I am currently writing a character who has a antisocial, yeah, ASPD. And so I'm getting a lot of inspiration for how she writes, or I'll read Rena Kent. I've read some other more like Haunting Adeline, where books will help me to push past my own limitations. I feel like Her Dark Promise is it's very much a starter dark romance book, whereas, you know, Rena Kent has written things where there's like DevCon or consent, CNC. There's a lot of maybe more taboo types of tropes and things in there. And I really, as a writer, I want to push myself. So with this new book, I am really um, getting inspiration from authors. Here, let me look at my bookshelf because I can't think right off the bat. Oh yeah, authors like Bria Rivers, K.A. Knight, who wrote Den of Vipers, H.D. Carlton. There's just so many authors who are amazing dark romance authors in general, whether it's fiction, contemporary, whatever that may be, to help me push past my own boundaries and limitations of what may or may not be considered not appropriate, but too much, I guess.
Well, tell us about I know you talked about something you're working with a company, but tell us about any other upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to be aware of.
Definitely the audiobook currently is my baby right now. That is the thing that I was up till like 10 p.m. just making sure that everything was good to go for people to start pre-ordering my audiobook literally today as of 8 a.m. So the audiobook, I for those who listen to audiobooks, if you know the name Jacob Morgan, then you will definitely like my book because my my book my audiobook is a duet with Jacob Morgan and Grace Noble as my narrators. So if you love Jacob Morgan, then definitely this is the book for you. I mean, I have people who say, they would listen to Jacob Morgan read the phone book. So, I definitely want to put it out there that if you love that name, you're definitely gonna love this book and you're gonna want to add it to your TBR for sure. The Spicy Pinocchio one is so fun. That one I'm hoping to have out this Halloween. I actually published for Dark Promise last Halloween, so I'm not saying that's gonna be a new tradition, but maybe. Um, it just ended up working out that way. So fingers crossed. But just give you a little idea, the Spicy Pinocchio retelling. I don't know what I can say not say. So I'll say he's a bleak doll who gets sold to a high profile couple. Uh, and so it's some of the tropes and kinks in there would be like healthy throuple, secret society, a big secret in general. There's a lot of really awesome things with this Pinocchio retelling where I can't get too into it just because we are solidifying some like ideas. But that's kind of like the overall pitch of the Pinocchio story. I feel like there's not a lot of Pinocchio retellings out there. I know gosh, I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but like kind of like robot type of movies. But this will definitely be fantasy or dark romancy, spicy. Uh, I don't know. The Pinocchio one actually started as a novella and has turned into like this full length book that I'm so excited to share with readers. Um, then the one with the company, I can share that I have signed with One More Chapter, who is part of HarperCollins. I'm so excited that they, chose me, that they came to me for this really crazy, silly, but not silly idea. And I'm very excited to hopefully in the next month or two be able to share what this idea is because it is so fun playing with these characters in a different way. I know I can't say too much, but it's just very exciting. And then of course the Klaus and Caroline book. That is currently all the projects I have out or going on. Um, Definitely, Her Dark Promise, like I said before, can be found on all the platforms. The audiobook will officially be out October 3rd, and those will be on all the apps, including my website. Um, but yeah, that's kind of taking it one step at a time. There's so many things of like trying to be on podcasts to help, of course, with exposure. I definitely am no Sarah J. Maas yet. Um, but yeah, so just kind of trying to get my face in front of everybody, book signings and book conventions. And I'm just really excited for some of the opportunities that have been, come my way. And I just am really honored to be able to come on to, these types of platforms to be able to talk about my book.
Well, throw out your website so listeners can keep up with everything that you're up to.
Yes, my website is author Bria Rose. So AuthorBriaRose.com. And luckily, I branded myself really well. And author Bria Rose is everything from Gmail, website, to all of these socials from, TikTok, Instagram, everything in between.
Close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listener.
Yeah, sometimes I just like, talking to the writers. So if you are a writer, an up and coming writer, because I do get this question a lot, like, what advice do you have? Um, my biggest advice is to write, 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 because you cannot edit a blank page. No matter what you do, I mean, you might have the idea in your head, but I'm telling you right now, sometimes whatever comes out through my hands is not what I thought. So just write, even though it's going to be really bad, most likely. It's probably going to be he said, she said, and that is okay. Let that be okay. Don't let it deter you. Write because your ideas and art deserve to be in the world.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to keep up with everything that Bria's up to. Pick out the new books, check out the new books when they become available. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform, and to leave any suggestions or feedback, or for more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And Bria, thank you for all that you do in the dark romance space, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.